All right, we are here today. I mean, you're talking to Neil D'Souza, host of Leadership Wealth podcast, and I've got a special guest for you guys today, and his name is Kelvin Kublal. And Kelvin is I actually don't know Kelvin, and no one introduced me to him. But you know how I got to meet Kelvin was through TikTok. Now, I don't know if you guys have been on TikTok, but that's how I found this man, the myth, Kelvin Kublo. And, a couple of things. Let me just start off. He's a youth pastor, but how did I find him on TikTok was something called hashtag Scrap Gang, which we'll get him to describe a little bit. But I got to tell you guys that I was just amazed at his hustle, his liveliness, and he was just out there and he was teaching people about how to have a side hustle. And so we're going to literally get into this interview and he's going to share with us a little bit about who he is, how he's gotten here. We're going to talk about faith, finances, fitness, family, all of it here today on Leadership to Wealth. Welcome, Kelvin Kublal. How you doing, Kelvin?
Hey, Neil. Thanks so much for having me, and to everyone listening, I appreciate the chance I get to be here. Man, this is awesome. It's a crazy world that we live in where we can connect this way, but that's amazing as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here we are during the global pandemic, and we're on social media, and I'm going through, and I'm like, oh, I like this guy. This guy's really interesting, and lo and behold, come to find out, oh, you're just up the road. And now really interesting circumstances. Here you are, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you just bought a house.
That's right. That was the goal for this year. And that's where we made it to with all the hustling and the grinding. And I'm just around the corner from you now.
Yeah, that's right. Literally gonna be right around the corner. So that's awesome. So guys, I am gonna get to watch hashtag Scrap Gang in action. I might start following him around and videotaping him to see his hustle. I'll start sending my kids over there to learn some of that game. So I love it. So, okay, Kelvin, tell us a little bit. I mean, obviously, we know that you are a youth pastor. You're actually studying divinity right now, and then somehow you got into all of this stuff and you got TikTok famous in the process.
I don't know if I call it TikTok famous. I think that the platform is really cool that I get to be on. Yeah, man. So I've been a youth pastor since 2016 when I graduated with my bachelor's in Ontario. And I was able to serve in Brampton for a little bit. And I love ministry. I actually absolutely love ministry as a whole. And that's why I went to school to study. That's where my heart is. Yeah. But I will rewind a little bit. I've actually grown up doing scrap metal with my dad.
Okay.
Back in 2004, my little brother was born. We were living in a small little bungalow. My parents instantly knew that, unless we can actually have another job or income, we're going to struggle. We can't pay bills. We can't pay mortgage. We can't do all that stuff. And so we struggled a lot. And my dad decided he's going to buy a truck for a little van for a couple $100. And he fixed it all up. And he's like, I'm going to do scrap metal. And I remember being 10 years old and this ugly white van pulls up into our driveway. And I mean, I was embarrassed to drive inside that thing, My dad dropped me off to school, whatever. But I would go around with him in the evenings in our community, picking up scrap metal. And I learned that since then. And that the whole purpose of it was because we couldn't afford diapers for my little brother. My dad quit the scrap game about 4 years later. And he actually built a business out of scrap because the scrap money recycled itself and bought a bigger truck, and then he bought a trailer, and then he decided to move that truck and trailer into a roofing business. And now he grew his business out of scrap metal altogether. And for those people who are listening who don't know what scrap metal is, we're talking about scrap metal. Like, what is this scrap metal thing? Well, in your house, around your house, there's pieces of scrap metal, meaning there are parts and things that are made out of metal. It could be appliances like stoves, fridges, speakers, computers, chairs, anything that's made out of metal that has metal on it that you would just, after you don't want it no more, throw it away, put it to the curb. Well, guys like myself will pick it up with our trucks and take it to the recycling yard where we actually get weighted, and then we make cash off of that. And it's something that I didn't know existed until my dad actually started doing it. But over the years, I see now a lot more people doing it. And then fast forward now a couple of years down the line, my dad's business is growing. I went to school, came back, started as a pastor in Ontario, actually the youngest in my church organization over the years. And then I tore my ACL at a major injury just a year and a half ago. And while I was home, I remember praying and talking to God about, man, like over the past 4 years, like serving the church and serving, my community has been great. It's left my heart filled with joy. However, my finances were still low. I wasn't growing financially. I was giving away too much more than I actually was making. I mean, it's great to gain those blessings, but yeah, that started happening. And so I told God that he has to provide a different route that's going to help me be more financially stable, or at least help me buy a house.
Yeah.
That was the conversation. And I remember just being in my recovery stage. And I said, as soon as I come out of recovery and as soon as I'm back on my feet, I'm going to start doing all this, this, and this. I planned it all out then. I came back onto my feet and I got wet back into ministry again. And then COVID happened. Mm-hmm. And so, this is actually for many people being a curse, but for me, it was a major blessing, and, my heart goes out to all those who have lost lives and whatnot. However, the flip side of it for myself, because of COVID, I was able to spend more time with my family. We got tighter. We actually started to like build and plan. My whole family, I grew up around business people. My mom and dad were farmers from back home. So I grew up when I was like 2-3 years old, walking with my mom to the market, and I would have like pieces of long beans in my hand. Like, it's called bora, it's a long bean. And I would just walk up to people and like, hey, buy this. And they would actually buy it. And then I would take the money and give it to my mom. And so I grew up kind of like that type of stuff since I was young. And we didn't have much growing up. And so as I grew older, I learned and saw how my parents made and worked hard for this stuff. Don't get me wrong, we believe in education, and that's why I'm doing my master's right now. I'm jumping all over the place. Let me fast forward to where we are today. As COVID came around, ministry and churches all moved online, and it became difficult for the church as a whole to provide for me, for example. And so the result came down to me actually saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to request to go back to school right now. It's actually better for me. It's a good season. I could do it all online. I could be at home, and I can't serve full time. So I took a break. I'm taking leave away from the church, and I'm in school full time pursuing my master's in divinity. And just recently I've started my master's in social work. So I'm doing a joint master's together, which is a lot more work, but I'm a whole year down. And then in the process, I started realizing I ain't getting a check no more. So I got phone bills to pay. I got this to pay. I got all these different car insurance and whatnot. I'm helping with rent, and I'm like, man, I'm not even making any money, but my bank account is slowly climbing downwards. I'm like, I gotta do something different. I've always been a little hustler, always trying to find alternate ways of making money. And primarily at first, I was using those money for his church. And now I'm like, you know what? Let me push this scrap grind even harder. On the flip side of that, I also love to record content. I grew up with a little camera everywhere I went, just recording my dad do cool things. And he does pretty cool things. So now all of a sudden TikTok becomes a platform that I decided to just record a few things, throw it online. And then I saw that people actually like that stuff. And I was like, wait a second, I get why people like it. I'm learning about marketing. People like it because they don't see it anywhere else. Nobody else is doing it. So I said, you know what, let me keep doing it. And behold, there's a great group of people who are actually with me on TikTok, and they kind of encourage me, motivate me. Full story, when I was in my surgery recovering, I went through a tough time emotionally. I can say that I was in the darkest places of my life, mentally, even, because it was tough. I was a strong athlete for 4 years. I played soccer for university on scholarship, and now my ACL tear happened and I can't do that no more. It actually happened twice. So I've tore both my knees. I've had surgery on both knees, once in 2017 and once in 2019. So it's crazy how that all happened. And through this entire process now, I have a whole bunch of people on TikTok who are encouraging me and pushing me. I'm motivated to get up in the morning. And what's the biggest thing about it is that because I know how to do it, I'm making the most out of it. And yeah, I'm known as the TikTok guy at the scrapyard because the entire scrapyard knows about it, and all different scrappers know about me. They're actually calling me to come to them, telling me they give me better prices than the other guy because they want me to promote their yard that people will come and give to them. So apparently Triple M Metal, for example, giving a free shout out right now. They are getting an influx of new people bringing their own stuff to the yard because they learned from my videos. And that's
okay. Who is that you gave a free shout out to?
That's Triple M Metal in Brampton. That's a scrapyard.
Triple M. Remember my boy here when he comes back. So okay,
that's right. Yeah, man. So it's been fun. So that's how Scrap Gang started out. Hashtag Scrap Gang. That came about straight up from just scrap hustling. Hustle
wow.
muscle.
Okay, so a lot there to unpack. I mean, let me just go back to how long have you been a youth minister?
Since 2016, so about 5 years now.
About 5 years. Okay, what kind of led you down that road to go down there?
I grew up in the church. My mom was always Christian. My dad wasn't. He was baptized when I was very young. I seen a huge change in my dad when he was baptized. He wasn't an alcoholic, but he was rough. And after giving his life to God, things changed in his life. Not just that, I grew up actively in the church. My mom is a firm believer in faith, and acknowledging God for all our blessings and providing for us. And I started preaching when I was 8 years old. That's my first sermon. I was 8 years old. And ever since then, I grew up in the GT as a little Indian preacher boy. That's what people called me. And I grew up in predominantly Black churches. And so I was described as a little Indian preacher boy. And then as time went on, I actually started biomed in school. That's what I went to the university for while playing soccer. So I was doing sports and then studying biomed. It became really tough and really hard. But instantly when I was there, I realized that I had no passion to become a doctor. Like my heart wasn't in it. Although I had good grades and I got into university for it, which is already a difficult thing to do. I just had no passion for it. So I just remember growing up in church, and I was always passionate about sharing the love of Christ with everybody else. And so I switched out my major and I went into a Bachelor of Arts, and that led me down the path. And I said to God, I don't know if I'll make money one day. I don't know if I'll ever get hired as a pastor or anything. I have no idea what's coming before me, but I'm going in faith, knowing that God will provide. And I've never been worried since, because after making that step and decision to study, I've always been provided for, and I've always been blessed along. I tell people I'm not lucky, I'm blessed and highly favored.
So one of the things that we see a lot right now is that youth just don't know which direction to go, right? Like I've even got my own kids, and they're trying to figure out, hey, where do I go? Do I go to university for this or that? And trying to make up your mind for what you're going to do for the next number of years, and then potentially for the rest of your life. At that point, and that point in your life can be really difficult. So how did you even? I hear how you shifted. But how did you even start down that road of going, I'm going to do biomed, and what kind of instigated that?
Yeah, I think the whole biomed aspect was encouragement from my family to study medicine, because that's like the desired profession for most of our kids, right? Become a doctor. It's the best thing ever. And you get told that, like doing the arts or doing something else is not the best profession or whatnot. But I've grown up with parents who I've seen take their two hands and work really hard to provide for us. And we've gone far because of that, just because of their work ethic. So I realized, and they're doing it passionately too. So I realized it's not about like even what you're doing or the profession that society respects, but it's more so what you're passionate about and how great your work ethic is. So I studied biomed because I was good at it in school, and it seemed like it was the only thing that was going to provide the most for our family. Do I regret leaving? Not at all, because I was never passionate about it. It was never going to wake me up in the morning excited to breathe, So if it's the kids who are in school today, or for a younger generation, man, like honestly, pursue something that you're passionate about. Now the question is, how do you find your passions? Where do you find your passions from? A lot of people are passionate in video games, and our parents will say, don't pursue video games, right? We have to be realistic with our passions as well. Video games can pay for somebody because you can play and get paid to play, but that's a dream world. There's a dream to that, and a lot of people actually get there. But the flip side of it, you could actually become a software engineer, and it's just the way we actually pursue our passions. My little brother's 16 years old. He should be the one on this podcast. Not me. He's 16 years old. I started when I was young too. I started working with my dad at roofing when I was 16. But he's 16 years old. He's got 2 cars and 3 quads. Bought them all by himself. He worked, paid for them, paid them off. Right now, he's working to pay off his last quad because it's his most expensive purchase. It was like almost $12,000. And he's paying back my dad. So he took a loan from my dad. He's paying back on interest. Brilliant young man, and he's big with motors. So a lot of the stuff that I find in scrap, I bring it home, and he actually repairs them, and we resell them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So how did he get into that? Well, I think he grew up around this atmosphere that was always about like, hey, fix it with your hands. My dad's always fixing things with his hands, and nothing's ever broken in our house because if it's broken, we'll fix it. We'll make it work. And I think a huge part of what our young people got to realize is that we have to put ourselves in places where, you know, people are doing things. It's not just about sitting in front of the TV and hoping that something's just going to magically come to you. We got to put ourselves in places. So put yourself out there, do something different, try something different. And if you don't like it, move on to something else. But you will eventually pursue something that you enjoy doing, and you start realizing it's going to provide for you. And then you actually build a passion. My little brother's passionate about cars. He wants to become a mechanical engineer. You know, he made that decision up when he was 14 years old, and he's working towards it today. So a lot of the content that we post is not just scrap. It's about like fixing bikes and flipping cars and buying and selling and all that type of stuff.
Okay, that's amazing. It's amazing for a lot of reasons. And the one that I think is really interesting is that we seem to be losing with younger generations the ability to work with their hands. So many skills that I think were transferred down by the older generation seems to be getting lost because everything seems to be moving, well, obviously more and more online. And so some of those tangible hands-on skills seem to be going, but yet you guys have found a way to kind of pass that on and enjoy it. Like, I've watched some of your videos. I saw one of your videos where you were literally you were tossing around, I think it was a washing machine or a dryer, and you were smiling the entire time. I was like, yeah. Holy crow! Okay, that's some good exercise for starters. But yeah, you and clearly even your brother clearly love the hustle. Can you say something about that? What is it about that you enjoyed so much?
If I'm 100% honest, my dad is uneducated, right? Did not go to school. He actually dropped out of school when he was like in the 5th grade. We don't talk about this. This is public now to a whole bunch of people on this podcast, but we don't really talk about it much. And I'm trying to get my dad to the point where it's like, hey, you're an uneducated man, but you're probably among the smartest men in this world that I know of, you know? And it's because I've never seen my dad quit. And I've never seen my dad say, I can't do that. It's always been, we'll make a way. We'll make it work. And some of the things I say on my page is, hey, where there's a will, there's a way. So how to lift a dryer into your truck, man, if you really want that dryer because it's going to pay your bills, you're going to put it in that truck. Doesn't matter how full you are, you'll make it work. And I think that the biggest part of that is just being determined. I've learned to work hard and be determined for my parents. And the 2 things in life is if you can work hard and stay determined, you will achieve a lot of different things. I learned that very young. My little brother's now learning it because he's seeing it, the reality of it. But I think the biggest part is that we forget that we have to work hard. Nothing comes easy. Neil, you came to Canada. I'm not sure when or if you even grew up in Canada. Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I was born overseas, but I grew up here. Yeah. Right.
But you worked your butt off to get to where you are today, you know?
Absolutely.
And it didn't come easy. It didn't come overnight. It took lots of tireless nights, maybe nights where you just stayed up late, working. Your eyes are bloodshot.
You see all this gray hair? See all this gray hair?
It came from somewhere. I hope I don't go gray. But no, it's true. You know, you had to work. And I think that's a part that we forget about. The work ethic, you can't just teach anybody that. But if I can tell a younger person, it's like, man, like, you don't know everything. I tell this to my little brother all the time. Hey, Calvin. His name is Calvin. My name's Kelvin. I know, confusing. I say, hey, bro, you don't know everything. It's okay to not know everything, right? The flip side of that is this. You must want to learn. If you don't know everything, you must want to learn. If you act like you know everything, then you'll never learn anything. You won't change. You'll stay stagnant. But if you yeah, that's it. If you just understand that you don't know everything, and that's it. Drop the
Just
mic, right?
drop the mic. Just drop the mic. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. 100%. 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
acknowledging that you don't know everything. And my kids are always astonished when I tell them, I don't know everything, but I'm always trying to learn more. And I hope I get to do that till the day I die. Right.
that's it. Same.
Even part of this podcast is really about learning, being able to, yes, I want to be able to pass on, but being able to acknowledge that I don't know everything and getting to learn about all these different areas. And, obviously even just being present to your hustle is inspiring to me. But I got to ask this question, because now you bring up something really powerful. Because your dad was a great example for you to see that hustle here, as you said, a man who's uneducated but was willing to work, and very smart in the business world, did diligent and disciplined and did a lot of things, and so you learned from that. But what about kids that youth that don't have that example?
Right. Yeah, there's unfortunately some places, some situations where young people don't have a parent or a great example for them. Man, the thing I learned even today, and as I shared with you just earlier, I have a mentor, somebody who I, in some ways, admired or respected. Admired is probably a poor definition, because we can admire a lot of people from a distance and never actually get to learn more from them. But I respect him. For example, say you and I were closer. I respect you, and I can see you because of your success. I will become that pest on your leg that asks you questions about, hey, so how'd you do that? And how do I do this? And hey, I want to do this. And then bounce my thoughts and ideas off of you. My mentor right now. So I bought a house. Praise God. Clap it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen. I haven't really celebrated yet, because today and tomorrow is the closing.
Yes.
But we will celebrate soon. And it's super exciting because that's my goal. My whole goal was to get a property, save up enough to get a property, and then do it again. My mentor, who was my elder at my church at one point, he actually told me, when I'm ready, come have the conversation with him. He was offering and willing to offer it, but I was never actually putting myself in that place where I was having the conversation with him. And eventually now we had the conversation. He walked me through the steps of how to pick up the best one. He actually even provided people for me to pick up my best properties or whatever the case is. So I think for that young man, that young woman who doesn't have a mentor or doesn't have a parent or a guardian, it's trying to find somebody who is in that field or that position that you respect and or is doing well, and ask them. Be willing to ask. I'm a firm believer in the word. The word says, ask and you shall receive. It's actually the way I get all my scrap metal. There's no other way to put it. Like, I'll drive by the road, I'll see a whole bunch of stuff in someone's yard. I'll stop and we walk up the driveway, knock on the door. Hey, my name's Kelvin. I pick up scrap metal. You got anything for me? And people are like, yeah, I have my entire garage. Come, I have a car. I'm like, you have a car for free? Yeah, I'll take it. Sweet, I'll take it. Ask. I think sometimes we're too scared to ask, but if you ask respectfully, don't ask. Yeah, ask respectfully. You can receive a lot. And so, for example, if I want to know more about what you're up to in life, or this podcast, Leadership to Wealth, it speaks 1,000 words, because it's like, hey, if I want to be wealthy one day, this will help me get there. Let me continue to ask questions to you or other people who are involved here as to how do I do that, right? So for that young man, that young woman, ask.
Now you're TikTok famous. So the question is, do people go, hey, I recognize you? Absolutely. Or do people ever say no?
Yeah. So rarely I've ever gotten a no. I've actually only have two stories where I call them Karens. Y'all know the Karens are those individuals who bother you or pester you. Is one situation. I was late at night. I was actually in the wrong. It was around 11:30 at night, and I was picking up scrap metal on the road, and I was putting a wheelbarrow into my truck, and I might have made some clanky noises, and so it might have sounded pretty loud and woken up this woman. She came to the room and told me her disgust that I was there. However, it could have been something else, that she was annoyed that I was there. We're not going to get into that right now. But
Yeah.
other than that, like, you really get a no as an answer when you're trying to help somebody else clean up their stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. I've had a situation where people like, not just many times, people, they recognize my truck, or somehow they recognize me. When I'm not famous. I don't say I'm famous. Like 50K isn't famous. However, because I'm doing this in a community like Brampton, where it's a smaller community, you can actually go around places and people see the stuff. So I went to pick up shingles, for example, at a shingle yard, and the kid who worked there was like, "Hey, I know you from TikTok." I'm like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, I watch all your videos." I'm like, "Sweet, give me a discount." That's all I said as a joke. And then some people think that, like, because you have TikTok, and I'm like, listen, TikTok happened over a few months, and tomorrow that app could be banned from the App Store and deleted from all their phones. And guess what?
Yeah.
It will be gone. If you hold on to your fame as something that makes you credible, you're nothing. It's nothing. Right. But if you can build something out of that, is where you have a great platform. For example, you're building this here, build more beyond that. So a guy walked up to me at McDonald's the other day. I was waiting in line, and he's an Uber driver. He grabs his stuff, he's walking back out, and he goes, and I was wearing a mask and a hat. I was invisible that day. I'm not sure how he recognized me. He just says, "Aren't you that TikTok guy?" Yeah. And I was like, "No." He goes, "Yeah, cut. Coolly." And then he said it so loud that everyone started staring. I'm like, "Bro, chill. It's okay. Yeah, I am. What's up?" Shook his hand. He's like, "I like your videos." And he starts freaking out because he met me. I'm like, "Bro, I'm nothing special. Just relax. I'm just a regular guy who picks up scrap metal and makes videos, and I have fun, and I show you all, and y'all enjoy it." You can do the same thing. I told him, "Hey man, you do Uber? Okay, cool. Record your Uber runs with another camera, with a phone, and post them, and you'll never know." People, talk to the camera, encourage people to live their best life, be positive, and people will like it too.
Yeah. Well, I've got to totally go against. I appreciate your humility, but I've got to go against. You're just a normal guy, because the podcast is called Leadership to Wealth, and the reality is that you represent leadership out there, and you are taking steps that people want to take or wish they could take. Maybe they're afraid to take, and they're watching you actually out there hustling, watching you actually doing it, and they get to experience, oh, he's out there, he got this, oh, he made some money, oh my goodness, you mean this is something I could do? And so I really look at that and go, and we call it leadership to wealth, because the wealth comes after the leadership. Right. It comes through that leadership, and how we define wealth is in all different ways. But if all you're looking at is money, that's obviously pretty shallow. But there is so much more, and you have to lead yourself before you get there. And so that's right. I got to be honest, it never matters to me how much money you make that day from picking up scrap metal. I'm like, there's this young cat out there hustling, and it's. You actually said something else that was really interesting. You said you never get a no when you're helping people. And I think I was speaking to one of my students, and in real estate, and we were just talking about how the pain or fear that he's feeling with regards to moving, what he wants to do in real estate. And I said, well, as long as you focus on the pain, there's going to be nothing but pain. Come on. But now all of a sudden you start focusing on other people and what you're solving for them, how you're going to help them. It's amazing. Yeah. What comes out of that. And so, that's a little bit of what I'm hearing, that as you're out there, you're solving a legitimate problem for people, rather than them having to try to figure out, how do I get this junk metal, the scrap metal out of my house? Along comes this young guy with a truck, and he comes and solves their problem. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how people actually pay to remove some stuff.
And I'm
Yeah.
here like, hey, don't pay, just call me, I'll take it for free. Why? Well, it depends. You know, some people actually are cute with it. They'll call me with like, hey, I have a stove, no, a microwave oven, and I have to say respectfully, it's too far for me. It doesn't make sense. You know, but I'll tell them, hey, you can put that at your curb or into the trunk of your car, and when you drive by this location, drop it off there. You might make a couple dollars, $3, $4, but it's better than you actually like stressing about we're taking to the dump and whatnot. Yeah, I am solving an issue, a problem. It's been happening many years. A lot of scrap guys are out there. Some of them are upset with me, but some of them also understand that I'm just doing it a different. Some actually encourage me.
Wait, why are some guys upset with you?
Because they heard or found out that I well, actually, truthfully, they see that the scrap yard workers treat me with a lot more respect. It's crazy. I think it's just a friendly atmosphere. I make jokes with them. We talk a lot. I actually like going to the scrapyard, check in on them, ask them how the life is going, how the life is doing. I know about their personal lives at the scrapyard because it's beyond just scrap for me. You know, I am a minister, and so I care for people as well. And so while scrapping, I'm actually doing ministry, and people don't realize it. My church may not understand it yet, but what I'm doing through TikTok is building a church online. You know, imagine I wanted to go out there and preach now. I have 50,000 people that are going to listen to me in a message, you know? And it's more than the 300 or the 600 in a building. So I get to really interact with people, and it's actually a lot of fun. The guys in the scrapyard, they're cool. The scrappers don't like it because I'm making videos teaching people how to give their scrap. So when they don't get as much, they claim that they're not getting as much. But I came across a scrap man. I told them that, hey man, some scrap men are mad at me. And the guy said, stop right there. Great guy. Said, I've been doing this for 42 years. 42. He's an older gentleman. He says, listen, there's never, ever no scrap metal. He says, if those guys aren't finding anything, they're not working as hard as you are. He says, hey, it's not your problem that you are making videos and people are calling you. It's their problem that they're not.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I thought about that, and it's like, yeah, the reason why I'm doing better in the industry than some other people, I'm not trying to compare myself to others, but the reason why I'm doing better is just because I'm doing it different. You know, there's that different factor. When you have a business, I told my dad this, like, you got to figure out how to make your business different from others to make it more competitive. What makes you different? And so I'll spend some time with some people. I'll go over to their house, and we'll have drink. Not, well, I don't drink, but we'll share a conversation, a good time, and just enjoy ourselves. And then people are like, wait, did that guy just take all my scrap metal? And I'm like, yeah, you just paid me $500 to pick up all your stuff, and I had a great time today. You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing. Okay. There's a boatload there, but I want to ask you a couple of things there. So, first of all, I get that you're hustling and you're working harder than a lot of these guys, and so. And quite frankly, you've gotten creative, and you didn't. Did you intend? Well, let me ask this question: did you create the TikTok with the intention that, hey, I'm going to be able to get? Okay, so you didn't even intend that when you created the TikTok, but in so doing, it created an opportunity, and people started moving towards it, and so. I don't know if you can really. I get that people are hating on you for that, but you're working hard and you've gotten creative in doing so. And there's always going to be. I appreciate the advice that you got from that older gentleman.
Yeah.
And there's probably so many different things that you could spin off from that, but just to be able to understand that you're going to keep working, you're going to keep doing what you're doing, and in the meantime. You know, you're building your ministry and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's amazing as well. So let me ask, if you don't mind me asking a personal question here. Married, kids?
No, I was actually engaged once.
Okay.
Yeah, big.
All right, here we go. We're gonna get the engagement story. All right, let's go. I didn't know we were getting this one. I was in a great
relationship, best friend. Went to the university together. We're supposed to get married.
Did Auntie introduce you to?
No. It wasn't Auntie set up.
Okay. All right. Okay.
She, great girl. To this day, we're actually still friends, but we don't communicate as close anymore. The reason why we actually didn't get married is because her passions At one point, our passions are all the same. However, her passions was taking her overseas, and my passions had me present in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'd rather you pursue your passions than to be stuck with me where I am. So I would never want to stop somebody from where their heart really wants to be. And that's why we broke up. And it's crazy because people are like, you're dumb for doing that. Just make it work. You know, I'm like, yeah, I cried a lot. You know, I'm going to tell you here, I cried a lot and it put me in a really tough place. But I am happier now knowing that that girl is pursuing her life's calling and her life's passion than to be miserable being my partner stuck with me. And I do believe that if God has a will and a way to make us work out, he will. And if not, hey, he'll provide for me another wife. Yeah. So no kids yet. I do want kids. My goal in life, my biggest goal in life was even to get a house. It's legit. My number one goal was to have a wife and children and adopt kids if I can. That was it. I don't want anything else after that. I think like for some reason, I feel like my heart is fulfilled if I had that of my own. It's also because I grew up in a very rich family environment with my parents, and I like their love. Like I look my mom and dad's love story. And I want to have a love as rich as theirs. I've had great examples, to say the least. Yeah. Yeah.
For all the ladies watching the show right now,
stop
today,
this.
Today on the Bachelor, we have Kelvin Kublal.
You know what's crazy? My Instagram and my TikTok are like night and day. You know, so Instagram was like my personal, and I was using it for like ministry objectives, and I'll post like me in suits and preaching and speaking engagements and all that professional scheme, you know, because you feel like you have to be professional on certain platforms. Then my TikTok, I started posting scrap videos. I actually hid it from my Instagram because my Instagram is predominantly like church folks and the kids that I mentor. I didn't want to see that side of me. And I think this is a huge factor, to a point I want to make. I hid a huge part of me because I was either embarrassed or I just didn't want people to know what I was up to because they would judge me. And crazy as it sounds, I have friends who actually I share a podcast with who I personally feel that they don't respect my hustle, my grind. You know, they've actually made fun of it a few times. Little do they know is my hustle, my grind would make me more than my, call it the 9 to 5. You know, it's just because my mentality has shifted away from that negativity, and I focus on being super positive about everything else in life. And I'm grateful for just the little things. You know, if you call me over to your house and you give me 1 teaspoon versus a whole trailer of scrap, I'm still going to be grateful for it. And I'll smile and I'll walk away. Hey, I didn't make as much today, but it's okay. I still made something. So I feel like my pride factor changed over this season of my life. And whereas in Instagram, I'd want to be portrayed as this guy who's super clean and well kept and well dressed. And in TikTok, I'm like this scruffy looking dude who hasn't shaved in a couple of days, and you know, and he's just hauling mud all over himself. And then you're like, wait a second, why am I hiding who I am for that girl who doesn't even care for that guy, for me? You know what I'm saying? So I could portray an image of some girl who's gonna see me and like, oh, I want that guy because he's in a suit. I'm like, no, if you can't be with me if you're not willing to come scrap with me because you just want me in the suit. I can do both. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes we compromise, we hide away parts of us, like parts that we're passionate about, to satisfy a certain group of people. And I've shared this with my little brother, for example. He wants to grow his Instagram account, a business account. And I said, listen, brother, if you keep appealing to the people that you know, you have 300 people listening to you, right? But if you start passionately just pursuing what you love and it's putting it out there, then the people you're appealing to, the 300, aren't going to give you their attention. But if you continue to just passionately pursue and engage and push out good content and just simply teach others, then the people who want to hear from you are going to jump in. And they're the ones that can interact with you and they're going to follow you. And before you know it, those 300 that you were trying to reach become like a speck versus the 300,000 that you're now reaching. You know, you have to understand that like we box ourselves in, and I was doing that to myself. Now I've been scrapping even while I was pastoring, and the money would go towards my youth group, and I would use the money to buy them pizza on a Friday night and have youth talks and take them out to dinner or go to their basketball games and buy them food and whatever. I was using the money in that way for them, for my kids, because I want to see them pursue a happy life. But now the flip side of it is like I'm pursuing it stronger, You know, it's not keeping me away from ministry. If anything, it's actually enhancing my ministry because it's providing for me even more. And it's genuinely who I am. There's a whole lot in there, but I'm sorry for the ramble.
No, it's great. It's great. Let's see. We got that you're still single. You want to be married, ladies. We got that you're given to the youth. I mean, you're hustling and giving money to the youth, or you were, and now you're paying your bills. I mean, like, you know, there's a whole lot in there. Let me ask a couple of questions now with regards to that and what you are kind of teaching. I know you're trying to do it through videos, and people are trying to learn and what you're doing in terms of how to make money. What do you, if they call you up and go, hey, I want to do this, how do I get started? Because I'm sure there's a ton of guys that love what you're doing, but they're like, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
You like, they see your truck, right?
Right.
I even saw, I was like, man, this guy's got a serious truck. I mean, what am I going to do? Stick scrap into the back of my car? But come on, tell me.
My answer is yes.
I'm not going to.
No, here's the thing. A kid came up to me the other day. He's like, I wish I can do what you do, but I don't have a car. I don't have a license. I said, but you do have 2 feet.
Yes.
You know? Yes. And I'm like, and if you have a willingness, and the thing is, it's not just about this. So I'm doing scrap metal. The reason why I make a good amount of it is because I'm hauling a large amount, you know?
Right.
But if anything else that you do, if you have a willingness in your heart to do something, to make something, you will make something out of it. So when my dad used to do scrap metal, he would come home at night. If his truck and trailer was full on the driveway, I would actually take my bicycle and ride around my neighborhood looking for stuff. And I found a barbecue. I would take the top of the barbecue off. I couldn't take the whole thing. Take the top off, put in my bicycle bars, and ride it home to show him, hey, look, Dad, I got a barbecue. That barbecue top was like $6-7 when you scrap that, right? Yeah. Now, what people understand is that $6-7 and 28 other $6-7, they all add up. You know, and before you know, you have a couple $100, and a couple $100 make a couple thousand. And so the philosophy I learned from my grandmother was this: it's a Guyanese saying. It says, "One dutty build dam." One piece of dirt builds a dam.
Yeah.
You know? So a dam isn't built in a day. Little by little, it becomes much. And that's how we live our life. So if you really want to get there, you have to literally depend on those pieces. So I save my pennies. I have a jar right here. It literally counts my coins for me. When I bring these coins, when I drop it in, I think there's like $300 in here right now. And like, man, like otherwise I would put that in my pocket and it would probably fall out in the car, or I'll go spend it on Tim Hortons. I say, no, I'm gonna put it in my pocket, bring it home, slap it in here, never touch it again. At the end of the year, I'll have $500 in there. You know, it's just the way that we think. I feel, you know.
Yeah. Well, I have to be honest. I actually use my wife's van for any of those things. In all honesty, and my kids know this because now I'm in finance, right? And so there's a number of things that my kids can't do in this space with licensing and all that. But in the meantime, I'm like, we'll do some online shopping, like what's that, used stuff, right? People are selling it on auctions and this kind of stuff, and we'll pick up stuff and I try to teach them how to resell it, right? I think the last one we got off of, here's for anyone that knows it, there's a site called Max Sold, and my kids hate hearing about it because they know I'm gonna try and buy something off of there. And, you know, it's probably going to be wood. Let's refinish it and then put it back out there. Now, half the times it ends up being a present rather than going out to be sold.
Right.
But there's something of value of being able to identifying things of value that are undervalued. You know, being able to restore them, fix them up, that kind of stuff, and you know, recycling them, repurposing them, whatever that may be, and you know. I see that you're doing a lot of this in that. Okay, so and what you also talked about was, you know, scalability, right? So, hey, you're a kid, you got a bicycle, you can pick up a couple of things on your bike, right? If you have to drag it behind you and get it to wherever you go. And for those of you that don't believe me, my son had a skateboard, and he was going down the street, and he picked up a wooden side table that someone was giving away. He put it on his skateboard and skateboard back home. So I think it's on our back deck right now. So anyways, hey,
I did the same thing. I used to do it with beer bottles. I used to go, like, I knew the drinkers on my street because they would always be really loud. And I would go to their house on the garbage days and pull out all the beer bottles into my backyard. They would go into this big box. And when I fill up the box, I would put it into like a trolley and like the little Tykes wagon. And I would pull it to the beer store. I'll tie it to my bicycle, like the Rascals, Little Rascals. Tie it to my bicycle and pull it to the beer store. I was about 10, and I would make about $10 from all that. $10 when you're 10 years old is a lot of money. That's a lot of candy, Yeah. So I was just like excited when I did that stuff. And also, I cut hair, right? I learned to cut hair. I cut my hair myself. There's a ministry I have called Haircuts for Humanity where we cut hair for the homeless. And I learned to cut hair when I was 11 because my mom used to cut my hair and shave it all off, and I would have really bad haircuts. Eventually, I took the clippers and started cutting it myself. Out of necessity. I couldn't afford to go to a barber. I only learned what a barber was when I was 14, 15, in grade 9 is when I learned what a barber was. But still, it was $15. I didn't have $15. So I cut my own hair. So it's like out of necessity comes a thing, Little kids, I tell the guys all the time, like, pack it all up at your house and then bug your parents to drive it over for you. Drive it to the scrapper, drive it somewhere. And I try to teach them what the best things look like. I feel like we make excuses as to why we can't do certain things. But you're right. Yes. Buying stuff and selling it is probably the best thing that little kids can do. If I give you a tour of my basement right now, mercy. This stool that this computer is sitting on is reused. This chair that I'm sitting on is some scrap. This microphone was brand new in the scrap bin, in the garbage bin.
Wow.
In a box. They just didn't know how to put it together, or they didn't know how to connect it to the computer, so they threw it out. And I'm like, people, there's germs and there's garbage. Yes, but it's the same. Like, you can disinfect all your things and still use them. I have light rings here right now. That was all garbage. There's a mirror right here. This mirror, that was from the garbage. Some of these picture frames were from the garbage, and just have to make them work. My desk in here, even my bed that I sleep on, was free on Facebook Marketplace. The lady was moving. She wanted to get rid of it. I took it home, picked it up, and I steam cleaned the heck out of it. And it's my bed, and it's like a $500 bed. And I don't know how to tell you, man.
I was gonna say you're like the Guyanese Gary V.
That people tell me that so much. I actually had to go research who Gary V was when I was picking up scrap one day, because a guy came up to me. He's like, "Yo, you reminded me of Gary V. Do you watch his videos?" I'm like, "No." And I looked it up, and I actually started watching his videos recently. But I my whole entire house. And that's why my parents were able to move from a basement apartment in Rexdale to their first house purchase in bungalow in Malton, and then they moved to Brampton. To which, after they sold that house, it doubled in price, and they moved to Caledon. So we're moving a little further out. But the progression of the house prices have also been the same. But we're able to afford what we live in today because of that mentality. Hey, we're buying no-name foods for many years. We still do to this day. We're not spending money excessively. We don't party and drink, and we don't go on massive vacations. We save really well, and we also invest really well. And so that's why, like, I'm looking at my room right now. I'm trying to find something that I actually bought in the stream to tell you. My laptop. And it was also off of Facebook Marketplace. It wasn't brand new, because I'm like, I ain't paying for nothing brand new, man.
Yeah. Well, in all honesty, and I think we were texting back and forth about this, is, for me, growing up as a kid in Scarborough, we would we had nothing. Right. My dad's an alcoholic. And so my mom was the only one bringing in an income, and she had to stretch everything. And so, we didn't have a TV until somebody in the apartment building we lived in threw out a TV. And true story, no word of lie. I was 8 years old before I found out that I had a black and white TV. I'd been watching that for however many years. I kid you not, I thought I had a color TV until I went over to somebody's house, and I was like, "Dad, what's going on with their TV?" And he was like, "That's a color TV." I was like, "But we have a color TV." No, we had a black and white
Yo,
TV,
wow.
and that's and then that one broke, and we didn't have a TV for 3 months, and so someone threw out another TV. That's how we got another TV. That was just part of survival back then, right? Like, and now you're making it a hustle and making money from it, loving it, right?
Yeah. Do I feel guilty? Someone asked me of selling garbage, somebody else's garbage to make money. I said, no, it's not my fault that you threw away something of great value and you devalued it. By throwing it away, you literally listed it as $0. That's what you did. Right. And I looked at it. I said, that thing is not $0. That thing is $500. I picked it up and made it work. Now I sold it for $1,000.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that you devalued something. I think that North American culture, society is quick to throw away. We're so like zoned in to purchase this whole it's just like a cash
disposable.
Disposable. Yeah. I'm like, man, people throw away some really good things. I've never bought a bicycle in my life because I've had more than 50 in my name, and I would just recycle them over, buy it, sell it, pick up another one, do the same thing again, or find it, fix it. We've never bought a barbecue. Never bought a barbecue. And when the one that we have in the backyard breaks, we scrap it and I get a new one from somebody else's house. Right? It's crazy how like people are scared of doing that because they're scared of what society will think of them. Yet I have all my family members coming over to my house and asking me, "Oh, where'd you buy this? And where'd you get this?" And I just smile. I say, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Mama. Don't worry about it." They don't know.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, there's a saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
I live by it.
And I think that, well, yeah, literally you do. And you literally make money off it. And what's interesting, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that is true in every area of making money. Mm-hmm. Wherever something is devalued, that's where it's your opportunity. Right. Even in real estate, right? It's the properties that are, I thought of being a realtor at one point, and I thought I can't do it because if someone complains about wallpaper, I'm like, forget about it. Like, to me, that's nothing. I see the money, I smell the money, right. And so I was like, I can't do it. And so instead I went into finance, went into mortgages and into investing. But it really is that wherever people are devaluing it, even in the stock market, it's the stocks that are devalued that you have the most opportunity.
Most gain. That's right.
Right. To be able to gain from it. So I think there's a powerful lesson there in being able to see beyond what everyone else sees.
Right.
And even there's something else that I think is really interesting is that because a lot of people may not want your life, but because they may, I don't want to have a bunch of barbecues in my backyard that I'm going to be taking to, I may not want this, or, they may be looking around and thinking, I don't want all of that stuff or that type of life. But yet you just bought a house. That's right. And there are a lot of people that are saying, I have no way to do this. Right. Maybe even some of the victim mentality of, how do I get enough money to be able to buy a house? And here you are in a very unfashionable way, you're closing on a house tomorrow.
That's right. Glory to God, man. Yeah. It took years to get there. However, it is the whole, switch of mentality. I feel like we have to put our pride aside. And like I keep saying on my channel, is do what you got to do to be a better you. It means if you got to wake up in the morning and grind, because that's all you got right now, then grind. It means you got to ride a bicycle to work, then ride your bicycle to work, because it's providing for you. I bought a house. I was trying to do it while I was a pastor, with going to school, having my education, working salary full time. I couldn't do it then. And look, I'm doing it in the middle of a pandemic where housing market is just rising. I outbidded 22 other people on my property. 22. Woo. And I'm like, well, glory to God that I got it. And I worked my butt off to get it, but I'm happy I did, because a lot of people don't know, because you're in this field, but a lot of people don't know how hard it is to get a house, to be financially clear for mortgage and all that stuff. Yeah, so the guys on my TikTok don't actually know about me purchasing a house, and I've been telling them I have a surprise coming their way, because one of the goals I made when I would go live is tell them, hey, my whole goal with the scrap industry right now is to buy a house this year. And I will tell you guys when I get there. And lo and behold, it happened. It's happening. It's closing tomorrow. So I'll be sharing that soon, and then I'll probably be stopping the scrap videos for a while, because my focus will be then to renovate the house. I'll be sharing that, and it's okay. I'll try to teach people it's okay to transition certain things in life. Away from scrap metal, we do roofing, we do fascia eavesdrops, we do a whole bunch of exterior renovations, and I work with my dad because that's his job. But I'll work with him, and my whole goal in my days is to pick up at least $300 a day. Like if I can make $300 a day, I'm en route to making a lot of money. So that's my goal every single day, daily, at least 300. But there's days when I'm making more than that, and that's even better. But so the whole goal is to transition and flip. I also do the coconut business, and a lot of people don't know this. So you probably see my coconut video on TikTok.
Coconuts out of the garage?
Yes.
Tell me. Yeah. Tell us.
So I found this link on Facebook Marketplace. I was looking through Facebook Marketplace because I searched that like all day for good deals to buy and resell. And I found coconuts, and I went to the house. I bought a box. I went back and I bought a next box. I'm like, hey man, like, do you mind me filming a video to share with people? He's like, yeah. He didn't think anything of it. He thought that I was just like a regular dude. I'm like, yeah, I'm a regular dude. Don't worry about it. I posted the video, and it has more than 500,000 basically views on my TikTok. So close to that. Yeah. Everyone was blowing it up. They wanted more information. So then eventually I put his contact number on a next video, a follow-up video, and then his phone was ringing off the hook. So he would sell 500 boxes of coconuts by the next week, Wednesday, from Friday to Wednesday-ish, and he'll get a new shipment on Thursday. Now I sold his 500 boxes of coconuts for him in less than 2 hours. Woo! So upon arrival, in less than 2 hours, he was sold out. He stopped taking orders. So then he has more than 2,000 people ringing his phone, to the point that he had to leave that phone line as a business line and buy a new phone. Right? We've now moved him from the garage to a actual setup facility. I was working with him on Fridays because he realized that I was his PR. I was the guy that people are looking for when they came to buy the coconuts. In a way, I got used for that, but it's okay because I got paid as well. But I also just like to see his business flourish. And that was my whole goal. It's like, hey man, brother, I want to see you become the coconut man, and I want to see your business grow. And I'm okay. Like, I make my small piece by helping you and working with you for today. But beyond that, I want to see you provide for your family. So my whole idea and goal was to help him out, to see him provide for his family. That was his only source of income. Now he's pushing more than 1,000 boxes at $30 each. Come on, do the math real quick. $30,000. Wow. That's coconuts. He's now selling mangoes, sugarcane, kettle corn, a whole bunch of other stuff from a storage unit. From an actual garage unit that he's now paying like 10 grand a month for. So his business is flourishing, right? Wow. And he literally will call me up and say, hey, thank you so much. You have no idea what you did for my family. Man, I should have been like, yo, give me a percentage of everything you make, but I'm not going to do that, guy. But so that's part of our business. And I partner with him to the point that he will continue to pay me even though I'm not working with him. And he wants me to continue to film videos for him and kind of promote him. I'm his PR in a way. And the video eventually got shared all over Instagram and to several different social media outlets. And so he blew up, and he's blowing up still. But so that's part of the businesses we do as well.
So your Instagram clearly knows that you're no longer just the guy in the suit and looking good. Now, that's right. That's right. You're the scrap metal guy, and you're the coconut man with the coconut water. And
my kids on Instagram, some of my kids from my churches, they would they'd tag me like, isn't this Pastor Kelvin? Like in the comments, I read like 20 of them. Hey, isn't this PK? Because they call me PK. I'm like, I didn't respond to it. Eventually, I go to like their comment, like, hey, it is me. Chill out. Don't share it. But
they're like, oh man, it's cringy. Look at him. He's TikTok famous.
Man, that's crazy. Awesome. Yeah.
That's I mean, there's a lot of things just in business in general from that you can get. I mean, realizing that attention really is powerful. Being able to have that type of intention and being able to take it in different directions has a lot of power in and of itself. And people might want to look at what you're doing with regards to scrapping and that, and they might want to thumb their nose at you or look down on you or any of that stuff. But the reality is that there are a lot of people that admire that hustle, and it's literally created so much attention that you're able to, quadruple this man's business or more, move him out of his garage, move him into, like, that's the power of being an influencer. And so many people want to be an influencer, and you are, just doing what you love, and it comes out naturally, and people are drawn to it. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, I prayed about it, man. Like, you told me to bring faith into this, and I can't go away from it. A lot of what I have happening today, I remember when I was 25 years old, and I remembered riding a quad through one of the fields here, and it was my birthday, and I was like, God, like, I was just like talking to the air, right? I'm like, God, like, you literally gave me everything I've ever wanted. Like, I was crazy because in my mind, a 10-year-old boy was playing with some Hot Wheels cars. I would build like this massive house that I would live in, and farmland all around me, and then we'd have like ATVs or motorbikes and trucks and trailers and a boat. And I'm like, wait a second, we have all that. You know, I'm like, how did I get this idea that was in my head when I was 10 to actually live out here? And it's like, well, God blessed me. So the flip side of that, now I said, God, you know what? I feel like life is transitioning because social media is such a strong outlet, and I've been running away from it because it's a dangerous outlet as well, especially when your kids are using it. But how about I switch it up and I post as much positive stuff as possible to encourage and motivate people because it's just who I am. And then in a way it's like, well, maybe I should ask you, if you want me to be an influencer, you make it happen. And that's how TikTok started up. That's how TikTok started blowing up. I literally said a prayer, and I'm like, God, if you want me to be this guy, then do it. And the flip side of it, like, I did a funeral about 2-3 weeks ago for an 11-year-old boy whose family found me on TikTok. They've watched my videos. They like the positivity. I guess his sister followed me on Instagram and realized I was a pastor. And then he passed away. He actually fell off a balcony. So rest in peace to him. And he passed away. And his sister reached out to me and asked me, told me my brother passed away, and we're looking for a pastor to officiate the service. We don't know anybody else. I'm like, I'm there. And I traveled to them and I officiated the service. It was crazy how like this opportunity came out of a video that they watched of scrapping on TikTok. So influencer, sure. I'm now starting to accept that. So I'm trying my best to always stay and remain in a great composure. But there's flaws in every human being. I got flaws too, you know?
Okay. Well, I can't just leave that one there. Wait, what do we have? Are you undercover drug dealer? What's going on? Like,
man, no, that makes me a lot of money, but no.
You don't like to bathe on a regular basis? What are we talking about?
Well, there's personality. I think all of us have personality flaws, and I strive to be a better me every single day. So I encourage people to, hey, you know what? Wake up today and try to be 1% better than yesterday, and stop aiming to be this completely different person. Just try to be 1% better today than you were yesterday. And over time, you'll be better and better and better. And what I mean by being better is, strive to be positive, strive to be encouraging, motivational, strive to be just a better holistic self. And that means like healthy, eat better, sleep better, do things that make you better, read more, right? On my hand for the longest time, I put in permanent marker, I put do more on my hand, my left hand. And I do a lot. And now my friends who keep up with me, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't got time to have a girlfriend, and I'm okay with that right now. So sorry for the ladies who listen to this podcast. But
the ladies that are crying right now, don't worry.
I straight up was like, I like what I'm up to and I'm doing, and I share with my friends what I'm up to. They're like, how do you do all that in 24 hours? I'm like, guess what? If you have great work ethic, and you plan and schedule yourself, you will do it. But that's also my character flaw now. I do too much, or I'm trying to do too
Right.
much in a day.
Right.
Right. And that left me today, for
Right.
example, almost missing this opportunity to connect with you because
Yeah.
I was taking on another thing to do before coming here and I just couldn't manage the time. So
Yeah.
that becomes a flaw of mine. And I realized I try to do a lot, and
Yeah.
you can burn out over time.
Yeah.
But so far, I've been managing. That's why I have a lot of playtime as well. So I put a lot of fun time and family time in there. And that really balances me really well.
Wow, that's a really powerful observation. As a man with 4 kids myself,
Right.
one of the things that I've noticed is that there were definitely I think it's something important to even understand as a man, is that there is something in you that wants to get out. There is a lion in there that's trying to hustle, that's
Roar.
trying to do that stuff, right? And
Yeah.
we want to be able to, and I mean, fear may be in the way. All of these things are there, but it's always there. And we're trying to be that protector. We're trying to be all of those things. And sometimes it's real easy as men to be able to focus in on one thing. And let's be honest, a lot of men, it's very easy to focus in on their career and to the detriment of everything else.
Of their family.
And right. And you know, and for you, I mean, I now I get what you're saying in terms of that can very easily be a flaw, but because now you're not making time for those other aspects where you get to be a father, where you're going to get to be a spouse, you're going to be, right. And those are all parts of who you are and what make you unique, and obviously that's all part of who you want to be. So as a man, as you continue to grow. So let me ask you this question as we just talk about continuing to grow. You've got the house, you close on it tomorrow. You know, Lord willing, everything closes tomorrow, and it's good. And then you're going to be spending some time working on the house. But what's next? What's next up on the docket? What's the dream? Where's the ultimate goal?
Yeah. I've reworked my dream over the past couple of years. I've had to. Because
two knee surgeries.
2 knee surgeries, a major breakup, you know, crazy depression even because of all those challenges. But where's the dream at for me right now? If it goes to short term, I finished.
Wait. I gotta hang on before you get into the dream. Wait, you just kind of threw that one out there. Crazy depression.
Yeah, man. So I went through. I mean, I was this very strong athlete. I was on scholarship, full ride, essentially. Right. My body was in the pristine physical shape. You know, I was almost to the point that I was like, you know, I could have probably played soccer somewhere, and had fun doing it too. Very physical, body changes up because of knee surgery. And then I go through it a second time. I conquered, came out of, recovered, went through it a second time. So I was just down on myself because I'm a big doer. I like to do things. I like to be active, moving, and I depend on my hands and my feet to do that. I don't like people doing things for me in a way. And I was just sitting stagnant for 3-4 months. And I was just mad at my body for not being able to do it. It's still to this day, I can't kick a ball the same way anymore. I don't play soccer as much. I actually don't want to see a soccer ball. I prefer playing basketball over soccer because it reminds me of that injury. So it put me in a really bad place. I was really down. I was really, really depressed. And then on top of that, my whole breakup situation even just like slumps you into deeper dive. And you know, I've come far away from there. And for anybody who's listening right now, and probably you've been through depression, or you've gone through depression, or, you know, I was never diagnosed or anything, but I was just really down. And I know myself, in the professional scheme, I know that I was going through some really dark things. To get out of that is really just changing your mentality and learning to love yourself and value yourself. And that's what I did different. You know, I have a stack of books here. So I wasn't able to run and play, but I was able to take my mind far away from where it was. And I was reading a ton. I have recently just purchased books on like investment and real estate even. And I actually picked up some from scrap metal. Like I found some in the garbage. Some I'm like, this is perfect for me. And it's all these like high-end authors and stuff. And so I'm like, I'm investing in myself in a different way.
Yeah.
That's what got me out. So my mentality changed. So that how to get out of depression, your mentality shift will happen.
How dark did it get?
Man, dark. I testimonially, I was driving down the road. This is like the major point. I was driving down the road to the point that I took my car about 225 kilometers an hour on a back road, a farm back road, wanting to just drive it into a ditch. Right, tears coming down my eyes. I couldn't see anything. I preached this testimony before, where it's like, I just remember telling God, I don't want to live no more. I was just broken, you know, and I was just hurt. And I just remember driving so fast. Like I literally pressed, I was in first, second, third, fourth gear. I did not let off. I was redlining my car. This is a Volkswagen Golf. It's a 1.8 turbo, very fast car. I was going 225 kilometers almost. I just remember seeing the needle on the dash was just about this much away from clocking out. And I just couldn't see anything after that. My eyes, water was coming out of my eyes. And it was blurry. But for some reason, as I tried to move that wheel to the left or to the right, it just would not move. And it's like the car was stuck to the ground. And then eventually it came to a stop. I just remember telling God, I want to die. I want to get out of here. I know it sounds kind of dark and gloomy for who's listening. But listen to me closely. In that very moment, a voice spoke to me and straight up said, it's not your time. I'm not done with you yet. And I'm telling you this, I'm getting chills on my arms, man, because it takes me back to that moment. And I just remembered feeling like I don't want to live no more, because I felt devalued. I felt like broken. I just felt like so alone. And loneliness is a huge thing in that moment, and brokenness because of the injuries I was going through, and just deep, sad, dark depression that I actually, because I was a public image as a youth pastor, I hid it from it because I couldn't show people this weak side of me. And the flip side of this now with my ministry, even to my Instagram, I actually talk about these different struggles because this is the real side of people's lives. Professionals go through dark things. They're not just no shining bright, you know, it's not, everything's all good. You know, Neil D'Souza, you've gone through some sad things in life, you know, some things that will break you, some moments you've argued, you've fought, you've gotten mad at your kids and your partner and everything. And it happens, you know, it's life. And social media gets this way of portraying that things are just all happy and rainbows, you know? But that moment when my car was about to go off that road, I just remember hearing the voice saying, I'm not done with you yet. You're mine. You know, it's almost like, I don't want to live. I want to die. Let me go, you know? And a voice that's like, God spoke to my heart that day, told me, I'm not done with you yet. You're mine. In that moment, I think back to the story, and I'm always empowered when I share this, because that testimony of itself reminds me that I'm living a life of purpose, and whatever I'm up to, whatever God puts me into, whichever place he puts me at, there's a purpose as to why I'm there. And if I'm there for a moment, for a day, for just however long time I am, I'm there for a purpose, you know, for an hour, I'm there for a purpose. And then there's a reason why I met some lady, 80-year-old lady with a tractor who gave me some scrap. There's a reason for that. And we had a great time. And so you make the most of your situation. That's why a lot of people tell me my videos are positive. I'm like, I don't see how I'm actually not intentfully trying to make positive videos. It's just that like they come across that way because now I know that I'm living my purpose in my heart. All right. And I'm happy doing it. At the same time, God's providing for me. You know, I just got my house. Yeah.
So now, without someone having to go 225 kilometers down a back road, what would you say to someone in that space? You know, I get what would you say to yourself, but what would you say to someone that's in that space and feeling like that?
Yeah, just give me 1 second here.
Because one of the things, you know, there can be a lot of people are, you know, whether people ascribe to God or not, you know, so many people are looking for a sign, and they want, you know, they want a billboard, and it doesn't always come in the form of a billboard. And I think you can speak into their lives right now. And what would you say to someone that's in that spot?
You're worth it. You're more than enough. Those statements actually meant so much to me in my journey, because a lot of times the reason why we feel down and feel low is because we feel like we're not worth it anymore, and we feel like, you know, we're just not worth it. We're not anything. But I want you to know, whoever's listening right now, I want you to know that you're worth it and that you're beautiful and that you are enough. And if you don't believe these words, believe the guy that tried to take his life and was told those words and everything changed. And believe it, because things might look shallow and grim and gloomy right now, and it might look like the end of the world right now, but trust me, there's joy in the morning. It's raining tonight, but there's sunshine in the morning. And one thing that I always kept in my mind is that this too shall pass. Every storm passes over. It doesn't just continue forever. It passes over. Maybe a new storm might come in the future, but that's a new storm all by itself, and that will pass as well. So whatever you're going through right now, it's not the end. And I just want you to know that you are worth it, that you are enough, away from God. That's the most thing I want you. And if you want to talk to somebody, please, if you're going through something, it's good to mention it to somebody and talk to somebody. Hey, reach out to me. I will have a FaceTime conversation with you about life for the longest time. However long you need, I will be there for you. Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So now that was your dark moment, and now you're talking about the dream. What's the dream now?
Oh, so the dream now, well, after this house, I'm kind of taking a day at a time, if I'm being 100% transparent.
Yeah.
I don't have no major, shining dream, but the way that my life is set up right now is I go to school for the next 2 years, finishing my master's, and then I'm kind of on contract to return back to Ontario afterwards and serve for the equal amount of time that I left, because they're kind of helping me pay for school. And so I'll be returning to Ontario, and I would probably pastor or lead a church congregation by myself. The hope then is actually to build a community center as opposed to a church. My desire isn't to have a church. My desire is to have a center where young people, old people, all alike come through and they can be educated. So items like this, we'll invite speakers to come in and teach about profit and wealth and all these different type of things that we can do. Have garages where we teach kids how to do certain skill sets, because that's the practical aspects of life that they can utilize is what I hope to have at a church building, while at the same time worshiping. We church setup, we've got it all twisted. We make the sanctuary the biggest part of the church. We should be making those service rooms the biggest part of the church, because that's where we reach people, we serve them, and then give them the invitation to come and worship if they like. So that's the whole goal there. Away from that, once this property closes and everything's all good, I can refinance it and do another one. We're going to repeat that again, and the whole burr will repeat itself. I hope to pick up more property, which will continue to provide financially for me for the future. And then I also then hope to end up doing missions one day.
Wow.
I'm not sure when that's going to be, if it's going to be when I'm 30 or 35, but I hope to serve overseas somewhere else. That's where I feel like my heart's been leading me recently. But I need some finances before I can get there. So that's why I'm working twice as hard right now, so that when I'm there, I can have something to come back to. Does that make sense?
Ladies, if you want to lock this man down, you better do it before he goes overseas. So
I'll be going overseas. I can guarantee you that. I don't know where yet. I've done some mission trips before, and I've enjoyed them thoroughly. But my heart is to serve. My heart is a service, and that's kind of wherever God leads me is where I'll be.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, this has been a real treasure. Thank you very much, Kelvin. What is there anything else you'd like to say? If there was something you wanted to leave with people about your journey, about what's next, about Scrap Gang, anything, what would you like to say to people?
Well, people can follow along for the journey, because I have no idea what's next. I live each day as an adventure. Our Instagram page is literally called broventure.ca. And it's where my little brother and we would post like our daily adventures. And the whole goal is to say, hey, people, you can literally live an adventure every day if you wake up excited to breathe and live. Just go out there, do something different, try something new, go for a walk, go for a hike, go for a bike ride. There's so much to do in life, and boredom is not something that exists for me. So I enjoy living life. And, for my faith belief as a whole, it's this, that Christ came to give us abundant life, to give us more life, life in excess. And so that means that he came so I can live my best life. And I'm not going to wait till I go to heaven to do it. I'm going to do it here and then do it again in heaven as well. Yeah.
Live an adventure every single day.
Every day.
If that's not the best way to end it, guys, thank you guys so much. Get a hold of Kelvin. You can follow him on TikTok. You can follow him on Instagram, and follow his journey as he moves into his new house. And Kelvin, thank you so much for sharing vulnerably, sharing everything that you have to this point with us. And thank you for coming on the show. And so for all you guys out there, this is Neil D'Souza, Leadership to Wealth. Have a great time.
Take care.